Questions are mounting about what Iran might be concealing after stark warning from the IRGC, with analysts and regional actors fearing the message could be the prelude to a clandestine revenge plan kept deliberately off public view. If diplomatic talks collapse, observers are asking whether Mojtaba's closest advisors already have a violent contingency locked in, a ready-made plan designed to respond swiftly and brutally to any perceived betrayal. By declaring that power alone guarantees security, the IRGC appears to be telegraphing a post-talk showdown, suggesting hardliners may prefer force over compromise if negotiations do not deliver their demands. With hardline factions broadcasting a chilling message about the necessity of strength, concerns are growing that Tehran may be assembling a Plan B, a fallback strategy that could rapidly escalate tensions in the region. The timing is striking. These statements arrived only hours after the Quds Force commander issued an ominous warning, adding urgency to fears that Iran's security apparatus is moving toward a more confrontational posture. In blunt terms meant to unsettle, Iranian officials told Israel, "You haven't seen anything yet." A warning designed to signal tougher measures could be forthcoming and to raise the stakes for any future confrontation. A senior official in the Islamic Revolution Guard's Corps Navy has delivered a startling public message, one that analysts say is intended to signal a tougher posture and unsettle Tehran's regional rivals. The IRGC Navy's deputy for political affairs declared that national power, not diplomacy alone, remains the only reliable guarantee of security and influence in a volatile neighborhood. Mohammad Akbarzadeh told that adversaries tend to back down only when they are confronted with clear, demonstrable strength, arguing forcefully that deterrence requires visible capability. Tehran asserted firmly that recent regional developments have underscored the urgent need for robust deterrence measures, saying the changing security environment demands a hardline response. Akbarzadeh emphasized the critical need to sustain military, political, and social resilience, arguing that all three pillars must remain strong to withstand pressure and preserve national sovereignty. The official warned that Iran's enemies alter their behavior only when confronted by unmistakable power, framing strength as the decisive factor in shifting adversary calculations. "The enemy retreats when it sees your strength," Akbarzadeh declared at the ceremony, using blunt language to drive home his view that forceful deterrence is indispensable. Iranian authorities claim that recent attacks were answered with decisive and effective countermeasures from Tehran, presenting their actions as both proportionate and strategically successful. The IRGC insisted that strength, rather than goodwill or negotiations alone, remains the key factor in dealing with adversaries, signaling skepticism toward diplomacy without credible backing. Tehran warned that any future agreement or arrangement must ultimately be backed by demonstrable national power, implying that deals without enforcement mechanisms will not hold. The chief commander of the IRGC Quds Force, Brigadier General Esmail Khamenei, has issued a chilling message that was carefully worded to send alarm across the region and put Israel's leadership squarely on notice. Khamenei warned that Gaza could unleash its own set of surprises, much like Hezbollah's sudden strikes in Lebanon, implying that what played out there could be replicated with equal force and unpredictability. The IRGC chief argued that Israel had repeatedly ignored warnings about Mersad drones, and by failing to take them seriously, had already paid a heavy price in both strategic setbacks and damaged deterrence. Khamenei claimed Hezbollah's recent attacks exposed how badly Israel had underestimated its enemy's capabilities, demonstrating that adversaries now possess the reach and coordination to deliver painful, unexpected blows. Who will answer for the casualties? Khamenei demanded, leveling a sharp criticism at Israeli leaders and suggesting their decisions and miscalculations bear responsibility for the mounting human and political costs. The IRGC commander warned that Israel may now be vulnerable to an even bigger storm, a far more extensive wave of retaliation or coordinated attacks that could overwhelm its current defensive posture. Khamenei urged Israel to be careful, delivering a blunt admonition that continued aggression or missteps could trigger a dangerous new escalation with unpredictable regional consequences. Iran's Quds Force chief suggested Gaza conceals threats Israel has yet to confront, hinting at hidden networks, weaponry, or operational plans that could surface suddenly and change the battlefield calculus. Gaza also has its flood, Khamenei wrote in a post on his X account on Friday, using stark, evocative language to warn that a sudden, overwhelming response could be unleashed if tensions continue to rise. The Mersad drone has evolved from a single weapon into a powerful symbol of Hezbollah's expanding battlefield reach, signaling that the group now projects influence and strike capability far beyond its previous limits. Khamenei invoked Mersad as concrete proof that ignored warnings can carry severe consequences, stressing that complacency or miscalculation by Israel can quickly translate into painful and unexpected strategic losses. Iran has deliberately linked the current tensions to the legacy of its historic Operation Mersad, framing recent events as part of a longer narrative of resistance and signaling continuity between past victories and present threats. A Hezbollah drone strike recently killed an Israeli soldier and wounded others, a stark incident that underscores how new tactics and technologies are producing lethal, on-the-ground consequences for troops. In a separate attack, reports say several Israeli soldiers were injured, with 2 listed in critical condition, highlighting how successive strikes are raising the human toll and testing Israel's medical and operational response. Khamenei's remarks serve as a clear signal that Iran wants Israel to brace for further regional challenges, suggesting coordinated pressure from multiple fronts designed to stretch Israeli defenses and political resolve. Israel Aerospace Industries conducted a test firing of its Laura ballistic missile in June, choosing to showcase this capability precisely when diplomatic and strategic tensions with the United States were already running high. The long-range artillery missile was launched from an undisclosed location, reinforcing the sense of operational secrecy and hinting that Israel is rehearsing real-world deployment scenarios rather than just a publicity stunt. Israel Aerospace Industries released video of the test, with visuals indicating that the launch was conducted at sea, demonstrating the system's flexibility for maritime platforms and its ability to strike coastal or inland targets from offshore. The tested Laura variant is advertised with a range of about 400 kilometers and sub-10-meter accuracy, making it a high-precision theater-level weapon able to hit critical targets deep inside enemy territory with a single shot. Laura is a solid-fuel weapon primarily designed as a surface-to-surface and air-launched strike missile. The missile itself is roughly 5.2 meters long, weighs around 1,600 kilograms at launch, and can engage targets between about 90 and 400 kilometers away depending on the chosen trajectory and launch platform. Ground and naval variants are reported to carry warheads of up to 600 kilograms, allowing for powerful high-explosive or penetration payloads against hardened infrastructure. In flight, Laura follows a shaped ballistic trajectory and ends with a steep angle of attack, helping it penetrate air defenses. It can be fired from road-mobile launchers on land, from deck-mounted canisters at sea, and in its air-launched form can be carried by fighter or strike aircraft. At the theater level, Laura complements longer-range Jericho ballistic systems and air-launched weapons like Delilah, filling a niche for fast, high-precision strikes at a few hundred kilometers without resorting to full strategic assets. Because of its speed, trajectory, and standoff range, Laura is better suited to surviving medium-range surface-to-air missile belts, while being significantly cheaper and more tactical than full intermediate-range ballistic missiles. Interestingly, just a few weeks earlier, in May 2026, Israel signed a roughly $1 billion contract with II to acquire more air defense systems, reinforcing both its shield and its sword at a time of strategic uncertainty. Notably, the Laura test was conducted right in the middle of a very public fallout between Israel and the United States, sending a clear signal that Jerusalem is accelerating its push for independent deterrence as American support becomes less predictable.
There's a report in Axios that Netanyahu's fuming over this. Israel doesn't feel bound to the MOU as it relates to Lebanon. If, as you mentioned, your frustration with Israel striking in Beirut, hitting apartment buildings, if that continues, could it torpedo the deal? And what would the U.S.'s response be to a broader war in Lebanon involving Israel and Hezbollah?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into hypotheticals that could torpedo the deal, because I think the president's expectation is that all of our friends, the Israelis, the Arabs in the region, we're going to work together and actually see this deal to completion. Now, I saw the Axios report, that Netanyahu is fuming. That's not reflective of the conversations that I've had with him, but maybe he's saying something to somebody else that he's not saying to me. What I will say, and this does bother me, is that you've seen people within Bibi's cabinet who have come out and attacked the deal, and in some ways very personally attacked the President of the United States. And I guess my message to them would be twofold. Number one, Donald J. Trump is the only head of state in the entire world who is sympathetic to the nation of Israel at this moment in time. And he happens to be the head of state of the world's superpower. If I was in the cabinet of the Israeli government, I might not be attacking the only powerful ally that I have anywhere left in the entire world. And the second message I would give to some of those cabinet members. Bibi, to his credit, has not gone down this path. But to some of these cabinet members in Israel who are attacking the President of the United States, the other thing that I would say is that over the last 3 months, 2/3 of the defensive weapons that have protected your homeland have been built by American hands and paid for by American tax dollars. The problem for Israel is not Donald J. Trump. And anybody in Israel who thinks their biggest problem is the President of the United States needs to wake up and smell the reality of the situation that country is in. Thank you all.